Welcome to The Rabbi Show. The Rabbi Show. You now have your own personal rabbi. Rabbi Yitzchak Wyne of the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas is here.
Let's even imagine a young Israel in Las Vegas.
Talk about life and spirituality with Rabbi Wyne. Dial Fox 1280, 369-1280. And now, tune in to 3,300 years of Jewish wisdom, beginning right now on Fox News 1280 KDOX.
We have Jacob Dayan, who's the Consul General to Israel for the Southwest region. Jacob, welcome. Thank you to the Thank you for coming to the Rabbi Show.
Thank you very much for having me, Rabbi.
All right, it's a pleasure. So, just let's get right into this. You know, as we know, we just finished a war, and I wanted to know what's the impact of the ceasefire that now that the Israelis are not, and the Gazites or the Hamas are not at each other in as a violent way as they were before. What's the impact now?
There were two tactical goals to the operation. One was to stop the firing of the missiles by the terrorist organization Hamas, backed by the Iranians. And I see that, and one can see that there is a significant reduce in the number of rockets. They almost stopped, and I'm sure that they will stop soon.
Okay.
The second tactical goal was to stop the flow of ammunition coming from the southern part of Gaza, from Egypt to Gaza, the ammunition that was sent by the Iranians and is being sent by the Iranians and again. Now here, we got a better understanding from the Egyptians that they have to be much more dominant in trying to stop their weapons. We signed a memorandum of understanding with the American administration on trying to stop the flow of ammunition way before they reach Egypt, in the Red Sea and other places. We should not forget that this weapon is being sent by the Iranians. And the third cycle to that is some kind of an agreement that we have with the Europeans to stop that. But I'm saying that because those are tactical achievements. The strategy is to stop the Iranians. That's the main threat in the region, and here we have an ongoing battle.
Mm-hmm. So before we go further, how many rockets were they sending into Sderot and other parts of Israel at the height?
In the last 8 years, more than 8,000 rockets, sometimes more than 100 rockets per day to the southern part of Israel, putting more than 1 million people in shelters.
Now, we know that, I mean, you go on to CNN, you go even Fox, you know, we never saw that. In other words, in America, you never saw videos of a rocket hitting a school or any of that. Why not?
That's a good question. I think that first and foremost, the Hamas terrorist organization is using in a very cynical way the values that we share and cherish here. And the most important one is the value of life. Mm-hmm. And they are abusing and sacrificing people and kids in order to gain minds and hearts on televisions. And this is what they are trying to put again and again. And when you have a 15 or 20-second show in one of the televisions, you cannot see that.
Right. No, we know they've been using human shields, children as shields for years. But I mean, we know it. We don't see it. When we heard about it for this really first time that it really went real public here in America, anyway, it was a little shock to our system because it's against our value, but also it was new to Americans. And then then it came out. Of course, they've been doing this for years. But I think the thing that bothers me and many of the listeners to this program is that the PR battle has consistently, since the inception of the State of Israel, has been lost here. Do you have weekly press conferences to alert the local media, the American media, about what's going on, or how do you deal with it?
Don't forget, Rabbi, that it doesn't matter how articulate the speaker is, but once they are sacrificing and, as you said correctly, abusing the life of innocent children, and they send those images in order to gain the mind and heart, it doesn't matter how articulate I am or others, we cannot compete the pictures. Mm-hmm. And because the Israelis are sitting in shelters, so once they are shooting deliberately their missiles into schools, into kindergarten, into hospitals in the southern part of Israel, people are sitting in the shelters, and this is why they are not being killed or wounded, although they were many that were but because for so many years we decided to accept those missiles, and we haven't actually responded or retaliated to that, which is also inconceivable in Western life, because you're sitting in Vegas or other people in other cities in the United States. How many missiles they could have endured? One? Two?
Right. I mean, that's the remarkable thing. You know, everyone used the analogy, well, if someone would shoot a missile from Tijuana into San Diego, imagine what the United States would do. Of course that's true, but it's so beyond... Yeah, it's so beyond what's reality here. In other words, what's conceivable reality when you're living in America here. You know, every year I take a group of people to Israel. And this year, of course, you know, our trip is coming up at the end of May, the beginning of June. And I received many phone calls and emails. Hey, you know, Rabbi, is it safe to go? You know, is this something that maybe we should postpone? What's the feeling now?
Just a week ago, I sent my oldest daughter, she is 15, for 5 months to Israel to study there in an exchange program. So you can tell the listeners and you can tell your group that there is no safer place in Israel, and it's all about perceptions, as you are saying correctly, and what we are trying to shatter here is perception. Once a person comes to Israel, the first thing that comes to his mind, and the first thing that I hear when I meet people coming back from Israel, is how safe this place is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think people can hardly realize, because of all the scenes that they see on television day in and day out, that it's such a beautiful place, such a safe place, such a vibrant place, and such a great place to visit. I spoke to many people that for them it was the first visit in Israel. And the one thing that people are repeating and telling me is that was a life-changing experience to them.
Right. So, but it is tough to balance. You know, on one hand, we're saying, wait a second, we're under constant threats from Hamas, from Nasrallah, from Iran, from all these people. At the same time, there's this incredible feeling of safety and warmth. It's the balance. It's tough. It's difficult to speak out of both sides of the mouth at the same time, but both are true. It's you know, I think they're both true. Tell me, we're having new elections in Israel coming up soon, and what's the impact of the most recent war on the coming elections?
I think that people are a little bit more skeptical now on the outcome of negotiations with the Palestinians, but we have to bear in mind that the consensus in Israel is for a two-state solution, and always our hand is reached for peace with our neighbors. You started the conversation with a ceasefire. We didn't need a ceasefire because we never started, we never fired, and we don't need a ceasefire now. Right. Our hand is always reached for peace. That's the consensus, and I'm sure that anyone who is going to win the Israeli elections is going to pursue this line and going to try and achieve a peace with our neighbors and with the moderate Palestinians. Hopefully that will work. Obviously, every time we have such terrorist attacks from terrorist organizations such as Hamas, it makes people much more skeptical. Right. But we have to believe. That's the power of belief and hope, and we have to hope that the future is going to be brighter.
Well, it certainly seems there's a much greater sense of unity in Israel today than in previous campaigns, military campaigns. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. From wall to wall, there was this sense of unity inside Israel and by the way, outside Israel. I'm based here in Los Angeles, and I visited also Vegas and other communities, and I saw the love, the support that Israel has received, and not only from the Jewish community, but from politicians, from grassroots. We had so many calls, so many letters of support. We were overwhelmed, and I can tell you that such a support hasn't gone unnoticed in Israel.
Fox News 1280 KDOX.